If you've gone to any professional learning conferences in the past few years, or if you've spent any time Googling how to use technology to enhance professional learning, you've probably come across microcredentials. Microcredentials are a great way to implement a competency-based learning model. Here's how it works. Teachers or other staff can choose a microcredential to pursue, and then as they work through it, they submit specific evidence to show that they've mastered the subject at hand. Maybe it's content knowledge or specific pedagogical techniques or skills like classroom management or procedures for how to handle bloodborne pathogens. All that evidence is then looked at by an assessor who determines whether the learner has shown that they've mastered the required material. If you're considering using microcredentials, here are a few things you should know about what they can bring to your professional learning program. 1. Microcredentials measure the demonstration of skill and knowledge, not time spent learning. Time spent on professional development doesn't really show the value of that learning. And spending time on PD itself isn't the goal. In fact, most of us would probably say that if teachers and school employees can learn something in less time, that would be a good thing. So instead, microcredentials measure whether the learner actually knows the subject at hand. 2. Microcredentials honor existing competence. We all know what it's like to sit through training we don't need, right? A new teacher simply has different needs than a veteran teacher does. With microcredentials, that teacher who's been in the classroom for 20 years doesn't have to sit through a ton of training in order to earn the microcredential. She can submit evidence like lesson plans, a video of herself teaching, or whatever it may be, and show that she has mastered that particular skill. The new teacher, on the other hand, may take a course or some other learning experience in order to get the knowledge he needs to earn the microcredential. 3. Microcredentials are a great way to meet the professional learning requirements in the Every Student Succeeds Act. ESSA lays out 6 criteria that professional development should meet. It should be sustained, not just a one-time workshop. And with microcredentials, the timeline can flex to meet the needs of each individual learner. It should be intensive. And a microcredential chooses a particular area of focus and highlights the steps needed to master it. ESSA says that professional learning should be job embedded. And while some learning elements of a microcredential may be offered online, those skills are mastered and demonstrated within the context of the job. Professional development should also be collaborative. One of the best ways to learn is from experts, like coaches, mentors, and colleagues, which a microcredential allows learners to do. And when submitting evidence, that assessor can also work with the learner to provide feedback. It should be data-driven. And here's the thing, while professional learning is often measured by time spent, and that's certainly a data point, the most important data at an individual level is whether someone has truly learned the skills required. And lastly, ESSA says that professional learning should be classroom-focused. Microcredentials bring the opportunity to really focus on the skills that will make the most difference to teaching. 4. Microcredentials break learning down into manageable chunks. That's because meaningful learning needs to focus on discrete units that can be practiced. This kind of microlearning often involves a series of sessions that take 45 to 90 minutes each and are delivered over time. Like microlearning, microcredentials are built around distinct skills that can be applied, practiced, and built upon. This makes it easier to tackle larger projects and gives a sense of accomplishment when each step is finished. 5. Microcredentials aren't the same as badges. As we look at what microcredentials are, it's helpful to also look at what they aren't. They're often looked at as the same thing as badging, but that's not the case. Badges are used to incentivize and even gamify learning. Here's a good way to look at it. A microcredential codifies how a learner needs to demonstrate that they know the material, and a badge is awarded when the learner shows that they have mastered it. 6. Microcredentials can help build your district's brand. A challenge a lot of districts have today is that good teachers are leaving. The job market is competitive, and building a solid brand can give a district an edge in attracting and retaining high-quality teachers. One way to do this is by offering really meaningful professional development. This competency-based model of learning can be a great differentiator for your district. And 7, micro-credentials can provide leadership pathways, ways that teachers can advance in their careers. At a certain point in a teacher's development, the next logical step might be to leave the classroom and become an administrator. But what if they don't want to? One of the unexpected benefits of micro-credentials is that they open a door to leadership. For example, let's say a teacher is skilled at formative assessment. You might ask her to become an assessor, that person who looks at the evidence that other teachers submit as they're earning micro-credentials. That puts this teacher in a position of leadership, where they can provide feedback, collaborate with peers, share expertise, and be seen as an expert by colleagues. Better yet, it keeps that teacher in the classroom. This is a great way to build internal capacity for your district and to create a culture of collaboration and sharing. As you can see, micro-credentials are more than a new way to deliver content. They're a way to make sure that teachers and staff have access to the learning that they need and want in a way that will make a difference in the classroom.